Welcome everyone to Sitecore User Group India. This is second session of Sitecore DevOps series organized by Sugin and presented by Hardeep Bamra and team. Today we have Hardeep Bamra with us, who works as DevOps practice lead at Horizontal. During last session, he covered architecture overview and a demo of Sitecore single on AKS. In this session, he will be covering an architecture overview and a demo of Sitecore XP scale on AKS. If you have any questions during session, please add it to the chat window. We will cover the question at the end of the session. Hardeep, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Kushbu. Let me share my screen. Right, hope everybody can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, welcome. This is the second in the DevOps series that we are doing for cloud engineering build and release in the managed services. Initially, I'll be taking few sessions, and slowly and gradually, then other people will start coming in, and then guest speakers are also going to be there. They'll be taking it over. I'm always going to be there to begin with and to present, but then the demos will be done by the other members from the community and from the team as well. So this is the second one where we are going to be talking about Sitecore XP scale on AKS with Azure SQL. If you have seen the last demo, last time we used the pods itself when it comes to the SQL, the Solas and other steps. We, in an XP single, we use the pods itself, but in XP scale, we are going to be working with Azure SQL as a services in the backend. So that's an additional thing that you would see. A lot of stuff would remain the same way. How to build the cluster, something that you already seen the last time from a PowerShell point of view. But then small changes that would be needed to work with the Azure SQL as a services in the backend for XP scaled. That's just me. If you've not seen the first one, that's me. Doing Sitecore and other stuff for the past almost 2 decades now. That's my email ID if you need anything, or if you wish to get in touch with. If you have some questions, feel free to write it down me on hpam@horizontal.com. That's a GitHub account. Last time I did promise that I'm going to be sharing this PowerShell scripts and some of the YAML files that we have been writing internally as a team. We'll be more than happy to share it with the community. And going forward, you will probably keep on seeing this. We will be happy to share the other stuffs that we are going to be doing with the community. Here's the agenda for today. We are going to be talk about Azure Kubernetes services, which we will touch upon a little bit because we have seen this in the first as well, but nonetheless, we'll still touch upon a little bit on that. We'll talk about the XP scale architecture. I'll show you the XP scale architecture. We'll also see some of the AKF scripts with the Azure CLI. Then we'll go into the manifest files and then demo and then the QA. So Azure Kubernetes services, we know that, last time, let me share the other screen. Last time I gave a little insight about the Kubernetes services. So this time I'm going to be not really going to be touching a lot on it, but I'll still show it to you. So when you deploy the Kubernetes services in AKS, okay, there are a number of items that gets deployed and a couple of resource groups that get created. The one that you are seeing on your screen is the one that I have named it as prod pre-cluster RG. And the other one that is being created in the backend with the VM skill sets, the internal load balancers, the application gateways, and some of the other stuff that is needed to run the complete cluster is getting created in a separate cluster group that is automatically created. We don't really go and name it this way. This is something that Azure Kubernetes takes care. You certainly have the ability to set up the resource groups naming conventions that the way you want to, but for the purpose of the demo, I've not really changed a lot here. The idea is to talk about more on the Sitecore aspect and maybe a little bit just touch upon the subject of doing it for the Kubernetes part. So when you deploy the Kubernetes now, compared to last time, what we have changed is that you would have seen the cluster last time. The Elastic Pool is something that we are doing at this time new. So is the Prod SQL servers. The virtual network we have seen the last time. If you go to the virtual network, you will see a couple of subnets. the subnet for the VM skill set for the nodes, and the subnet for the application gateway. We did had a looked into it last time as well in detail. If you have missed it, I would encourage you to go and look into the video that is available on YouTube's Sugin India channel. Additional thing that you see here is the databases that we are creating in the backend. Now, this databases last time we were all getting set up in the pods. This time we are doing it in the Azure SQL as a services. Okay, so this is a new thing that you will see. There's a list of the databases that gets created for Sitecore 10 on Kubernetes, and pretty standard stuff, nothing new, simple. Okay. Moving on to the other, what are the type of resources that gets created into a secondary resource group? You have the public IP address, then the network security groups, two VM skill sets that you need, one for the control plane and the other one for the nodes that is being separately created. Managed identity is you would need, because when you're deploying, either you're going to be using the service principal or you would need a managed identity that you will see when I show you the scripts. Load balancers that's needed for the skill sets, for the VM skill sets, the application gateway that we are going to be using that I'll touch upon in the architectural diagram that I'm going to be showing it to you, the public IP address related to the application gateway, and the managed identity or the other nodes. Moving on from here, this is how our architecture diagram looks like for today. Let's zoom in a little bit. Okay. So there's our AKS cluster. Let's take as an example of East US as an example where we are going to be building it. We are, though I've said 3 worker node pool, but basically, I've also added the scalability feature here, which means the minimum required number of VMs are going to be 1, and the maximum that it could scale up to is 5. I've added. We are not really going to be seeing the scalability in this demo. That's not the purpose. Maybe in the future, either I or somebody from the team is probably going to be showing you the scalability features. Nonetheless, this is a standard diagram that I thought I'll share it with you guys here. Okay. These are the number of pods that gets created starting from CD, CM. Then you have the Cortex, reporting, processing, identity, so on and so forth. And I'm also including the Redis and the Solar. The Redis and Solar would still, at least for this demo, would still continue to be appearing as pods. In the future, when we do the integration demos, then we might bring them out of the pods and do it either Redis as a services or Solar separately virtual machines. The additional resources that you would in the backend that gets created or that should be helpful. Is the application insights, the Azure Key Vaults, the backup services, the storage, and the container registry. The importance of the container registry, as you would know, is needed because you want to pull the images, even if you have been playing around with the Sitecore images that's available on their default registry. What is important is that as you keep on working and building the images, you would need your own container registry. That's something that will come in the future sessions. The number of databases that gets created and the application gateway that is there from an internal user or from an external user point of view. The reason I mentioned internal user is because the internal users are the one that's going to be connecting to the CM pod and the traffic is going to be filtered. Whereas the external user, depending upon which environment it is, if it is a production environment, they should be able to access the CM and the CD both. However, if it is still an UAT in a non-production environment, the internal traffic can also be filtered. So that's the short and sweet architectural diagram for this demo. And then I will move on to the other aspect. Okay, so that's a little bit about the Kubernetes services. We have touched upon this topic in the last time also, what is control plane and what is customer managed and nodes and kubelets and other stuff. If you need to know a little bit more about it, I have touched very briefly in the last session. There are going to be sessions coming in the future where we will go in real depth of the other components for the control plane and maybe some of the other aspects also from a Kubernetes point of view specifically, but that's for the future part. AKS scripts, let's look into some of the scripts that I've written. Okay, and I'll be showing it to you from an PowerShell point of view itself, not the release pipelines. That's something for the future. So some similar, nothing new. This is something that we saw last time also, but I'll just quickly run through it. You log into the AZ login, because if you're not logging using the PowerShell, this is the first thing that you would do. I would also, not needed, but I will just go and check if I've logged into the right one or not. I'll make sure that I'm using the correct subscriptions, just listing the groups because I would want to go and create groups. Setting my project location, And this is where we start the common variables. Last time, if you have seen, we hard-coded all the values in the Kubernetes part. This time I'm starting it with a variables. So this is the script that's going to be available, and you can certainly change it. Everything that you see is going to be deleted later on, so I have no problem in sharing the passwords that you are seeing here. Okay. So these are the number of variables that you need to set. The common variables is going to be the locations, the resource group name, the additional resource group name. Though I've set it up here, but I'm not really using it. But if you want, you can use it. The ACR that I might be using it. Then the name of the SQL variables, because we are setting up a different SQL. So primary SQL server name, the SQL admin user, and the SQL admin password. The elastic pool variables, the elastic pool name, the elastic pool, as you would know in SQL, is needed. You can have different versions when you set up the SQL services. SQL as a services comes in different flavors. One is the elastic pool, and the other is going to be the standard editions or the standard tier. Elastic pool are always preferable and cheaper. So I've always gone ahead with the elastic pool even in some of the other projects that we have been working on, unless specifically defined. The cluster variables, the Azure AKS cluster variables, the name of the clusters, the node count, node VM size, type, network plugins, monitoring is enabled, the Kubernetes version that we're using in this one. The ingress enable add-ons that we're using, the app gateways, naming conventions, the CIDR that we are going to be using for app gateway, and the username and password for the Windows nodes that I am setting up. Azure AK is Windows node pool variable. So the name of the node pool, the OS type, the tier that we are taking, and the node count. The virtual network variables, the virtual network that I just showed it to you, some variables we are setting it up. Obviously, you'll need separate subnets for the gateway and separate subnets for the nodes in the backend. So if I don't really have the resource group, the first thing that I'll go and do is I'll create an Azure resource group. The second thing that I do is create the virtual network when I'm setting it up, because that's a prerequisite for that. Then we create the subnets, and then I take the IDs for that specific subnet list, because this is something that I'll be using forward in when I create the AKS. This is where we go and set up the clusters. You might have just changed, the project tag here. This is a different project that you might probably want to use it depending upon what you want to use in the project tag, or it's not mandatory that you have to use the project tag. The way we have set it up is that we always want to go ahead and use the project tag. So how do you really create the AKS cluster here? Up till now, what you have seen here is just making the stage ready. This is where the actual action begins. So you create using the Azure CLI, you set up easy AKS create, use the resource group name, the name that you want to use for the clusters, the node count, the node VM size, the username and password that we have added earlier, because I'm going to be using the Windows. Sitecore would run on the Windows and not on the Linux. The VM skill set type, network plugin that we're using the Azure. We're not going to be using the default one, because we want to have the control of how we want to define the VNet and the subnets. The location, the add-ons that we're using, we are enabling the monitoring, the Kubernetes versions, the tags. We are also enabling the ingress for the application gateways, the app gateway names, the subnet for the app gateway, the ACR that we are going to be using, Docker bridge address. And Docker bridge is the bridge that is being used between the Kubernetes and the AKS part. The DNS service IPs, the CIDRs, the subnet IDs, and the verbos. Now, what I might have done is that even though I've set the variable here, I might have probably used some hard-coded values. Nonetheless, I still wanted to show it to you. You can certainly use it this way. Okay. The Azure SQL create, we are setting up the SQL servers. Once you have set up the cluster, it's not like you have to follow this order. You can go and create the SQL, but then I like to follow this order. Works pretty well for me. I haven't tested it the other way around. There might be some challenges, but then this works pretty well for me, and that's the reason. After the cluster has been created, I will go and create the SQL servers. Simple, straightforward. Easy SQL create, server create, specify the name, the resource group, the locations, the admin username and password. For now, I'm opening it for the public access. You can limit it to the certain IP addresses. You can even use the private endpoints if you wish to, but for the purpose of this demo, I'm simply using the access to all. Everybody can access this. Then I'm using creating the Elastic pool, the name of the Elastic pool, the resource group name, the server, the one that we created above here. That's server name. That's the server name here, the addition and the capacity. Okay. Once that is done, then I'm creating the Windows node pool. This will create additional node pool with the virtual machine scale sets. AZAKS node pool, cluster name, name of the pool, resource group name, OS types, size, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to be spending a lot of time here. I think we can utilize this time more on the other aspects here. Okay, and then you get the credentials. So far, up till here, whatever you have done up till here is you have created the clusters. Okay, now we are going to be actually creating the pods running the manifest files. Now, before you do that, last time also I told you, there are certain secrets that you have to enable. For example, when I am setting up an Azure SQL, what I do is that I will go and set up the name of my SQL. Okay, what SQL server am I using? Okay, what would be the username of it? Okay, what is going to be the Elastic pool name? Okay, so what is the password? So remember, when you are setting it up, when you are running, when you are creating the Azure SQL as a services in the backend, there are certain secrets that you have to update and push. The one that I'm showing you on the screen are the one that you have to take care. The name of the database usernames, the database server's name, the password, okay, and the database Elastic pool name. Everything else we have discussed last time also, so you can check. We are using a lot of other values in the secrets. So we talked about in detail in the first session that we did for the series. Okay, so make sure before you do that, you have to enable that. Okay, now coming back to here, the first thing that I am doing is uploading some secrets. Now, this is something that I had to do it in advance. The reason being is that otherwise, if I start doing everything from the scratch, creating clusters and everything from the scratch, it's going to take a lot of time for me. So I had to upload some of the informations in advance. As you can see, the Sitecore database related SQL secrets have been uploaded. There are 32 in total. Where are they really coming from? So you need to go to the secrets, use the customizations, and the number of items that you see are the ones that's going to be uploaded there. Okay, so that's how you see this number here when we talk about Sitecore database 32. Okay, moving on further. So the first thing that I have done is I've already uploaded the secret. Okay, to save some time. The second thing I'm doing is I'm actually running some of the external services. What does the external services include? The Redis and the Solar. Okay, so I had to create those pods in advance as again to ensure that we save some time. Okay, and Solar. These are the two things that I had to create in advance. You see the other pods too here already created, which I'm going to delete. That's my way of showing the demo. Last time also I've shown it that way. First I show the things are running, then we will delete it, and then we will recreate them. Okay, coming back to the primary one again. The other thing that we apply is the init containers. The init containers are the ones that going to create the databases and set up the cores and the Solars and stuff like that. So we got only two here. We got the MS SQL init and the Solar init. Okay, there have been changes made here. As again, the topic of is not to talk about the manifest file in this. It's simply to show it to you in XP scale. Because if we start talking about the manifest file here, it would need a completely separate session, and we will have a separate session. There are a lot of stuff that's been already picked up default from the Sitecore, and some customization has been done. Okay, like for example, even though I'm using these different ACR in the cluster, but then I'm in the images I'm using the default Sitecore ACR. Okay, the container registry I'm referring to. So we will have sessions as we keep moving forward in the series. We'll also talk about the manifest files. Okay. Moving back to the primary, and lastly, what I do is I create the ingress. I create the ingress along with the running all other files. This is something that is by default available with Sitecore. You can play around with it. We have customized it for our own requirement, but you don't really have to do a lot of stuff here. We talked about some of the YAML files and the structure of the YAML files last time. For example, the service is getting created, and when you're setting up the actual deployments here, the deployments, in this case, the CDYAML has some dependency on the init containers, and then you're setting up the containers here. But we'll have sessions on that as we keep moving forward, like I've been saying. The purpose for now is to focus on the XP scale and the architecture. Coming back on this, so what I'm going to do for now is that I'm going to be deleting everything, okay? If I show you the pods here, you can see everything is running absolutely fine, okay? So let's go and delete them. What I'm not going to be deleting is the SQL part, which I'll show it to you. Okay, just to reconfirm it with you, this was all working fine earlier, okay? Okay, as you can see, this was all working fine. But if I refresh this, this is going to go down, okay? 502 bad gateway. Why did I come across 502 bad gateway? Because if you go to your backend application gateway, to go into the backend health, this is going to run some backend health check. Okay, the CM is fine, but you know, this probably is not going to work. If I keep refreshing, the health will go down. Okay, for now, we don't really have those pods. If I go back and run get pods again, okay, as you can see, there's nothing. The app gateway needs to go and check the health, and then you can see there's no result here. So you know, there's nothing coming in because it cannot even go and find the backend pools. It's getting updated. The app gateway is getting updated. How is the app gateway getting updated? We talked about it last time. The application gateway ingress control is the one that's going to be responsible to keep an eye on the CD and the CM pods, and it's going to update the application gateway here. Okay, so that's the reason you'll see the application gateway is getting updated, and whenever the application gateway gets updated, it takes a bit of time if you have been working with it, right? Let's also talk about, let's move back to here and see, like I said, there are a few things that I'm going to be running again, but what I'm not going to be running again is the SQL and the Redis and the Solar. Okay, let's see the SQL part. As you can see, the SQL databases are already there. Now, why am I doing it that way? So whenever you run the Azure SQL, it takes about 20 minutes, 25 minutes to create all the databases. Even if you have the experience of working with Azure Platform as a Services, if you have been deploying the Sitecore on Azure Platform as a Services, what you will understand is that the SQL always takes times to deploy. Now, to save some time, I wanted to do it. I wanted to have it already pre-built, pre-installed. That's the reason I'm not doing it. Maybe in the future, we can also have a topic on that. Okay. So that's one thing that I'm not doing. Solar is another one that I'm not going to be doing it. And the Redis is already created. We have already covered earlier, so we don't need to touch upon this again. Okay. Let's move back and let's just ensure that we don't really have anything. As you can see, there's no pods. That is nice. That is how we wanted it. If you go back to this is still going to time out. If you touch upon this is also going to time out. The CM is not going to be running. Okay, this will also time out. Let's create everything again. So what we are saying here is that we are applying all the files that you see here, because my location is this one with Azure SQL. That's my location here. So what I'm really saying is that apply all the files and specifically apply the ingress one. That's the one here. Okay. And when I look into the ingress, you will see the specifications and the rules that I am setting it up. Okay. So I'm setting up the host for the CD, for the CM, and for the ID, and we will see when application gateway when it gets populated with 3 domains, and I'm using the TLS also. Okay. So what I'm doing in this specific command is that I'm saying let's run all the YAML files that you see, whether it is to do with CD, everything that you see as YAML is going to be running here. Okay, everything else is going to be ignored. So we are running, we are deploying all the roles independently in one separate pods in the clusters, in the Kubernetes clusters. Okay, so let's run this one. And it has started creating in the backend. If we come back here, we say pods, you will see some of the containers getting created. We have also talked about the status last time, okay? But this time what's the new is going to be the number of pods were a little less when we were doing the XP single, and when you're doing the XP scale, the number of pods is going to be more, okay? So if you give it some time, it's going to keep creating. The one that really comes up very fast are the XDB automations, because they do not really take a lot of time. The one that's going to take the most time is the CD and the CM. We know Sitecode takes some time in initializing it. So once there are dependencies also mentioned in the YAML files. If you go and pick up any one of the YAML file, and if you scroll down, right, it will depend upon for XDP collections, the automations, automation reportings, and reference data even before the CD starts working. Similarly, for the CM1, it has some dependencies. So if you keep coming back here and keep refreshing it, you will see the search work on one at a time. One after another, they will all start coming up slowly and gradually. But this is the one that takes about couple of minutes by the time you ensure everything is up and running and fine. Also, if you go back to the app gateways, you can see, let's refresh this app gateway. Okay, it's only going to take some time. Come back to the backend pool. Okay, there's 0 target for now, which is okay. And you can see, slowly and gradually, each of them are coming up. Okay, you pick up any one of them as an example. Okay, that's the XDB collection, or doesn't matter for now. Let's pick up just one of them for now, and let's just follow them. Let's just take the logs of it. Okay, so you'll see some errors, but slowly and gradually, I'm expecting this to go away. Okay. Yeah, indexing it started. Okay, so that's the way you can go and check the logs as well. Let's keep checking the status of our pods. Right, so it's all coming up slowly and gradually. Okay, the pods is up, the containers is waiting. At least in some of the cases, the pod is up and also the container is waiting. Okay, so we'll need some time here. That's the reason. Imagine if I had started doing it for the Azure SQL, it would have taken a lot of time and the demo would have gone beyond an hour. So to save some time, I wanted to make sure that we are setting up the stage again in the backend by ensuring some of the resources are already being created. Okay. So we'll have to wait. We'll have to wait for some time to see to it that, and you can see initially this was not getting initiated. Now this is also getting initiated here. Okay. The Cortex processing. Most of them are running. Okay. The pods at least are running. The containers will start it shortly. Okay. All right. So earlier the reference data and the search were not running, but now they are completely up and running, the pods and the containers both. So similar fashion, let's see what were the status of the other ones. So the XDB automation worker, the container was not running. It is still in the initialization phase, which is okay. It doesn't take a lot of time. Pod is initializing, okay, which is nice. Similarly, the pod is initializing, which is nice, okay. You can also go and check the status differently. Okay, the container has started, okay. So earlier, when it was saying the pod is initializing for XDB automation worker, if you now go and check, okay, that was XDB automation worker. Okay, so it's waiting. Okay, it has restarted. One of them has restarted. Okay, so that's interesting. Hopefully we'll not have any issues, but we'll wait and watch. Okay. The CM and CDs are working. At least they are moving ahead. So that is okay. That's good. Let's see if any activity is being done at the application gateway level. Okay, so at least the backend pools are being added. The CD, the CM and IDs are being added, which is nice. Okay. Let's look into the backend health. I don't expect it to be healthy because the pods, the containers are not up yet. Okay, as you can see, the ID is healthy, but we are still waiting for the CM and the CD part to be up and running. We keep going back to the pods. Okay, this is the one that's bothering me. Okay, but we will see. This one is in a state which is pod initializing. Rest of them have completed. Okay, this was the init one. This was anyway already there, and so was this solar which was set up earlier. The one that bothers me is this one, but it's okay. The demos are always going to be interesting and challenging, so that's fine. Okay, so at least the pods are up. We should be waiting for the containers. Let's just pick up this one and let's see what's happening with it. So when you see this in Kubernetes, it means that the Sitecore is not really initialized. If you have the patience, if you wait for about a minute or so, you would see the CD will come back eventually. And similarly, if you go and check for the CM, you'll experience the same thing. Okay. Yeah, same stuff here, right? All right. Hopefully, hopefully we will have this up and running in a minute or so. Okay, it's a wait and watch game. So thankfully, this hasn't shown me restarts again, but I'm still going to be a little worried for the XDB automations workers, but we will see. Okay. So let's keep refreshing so that we at least know the status for this. This one always takes time. We can go and try to hit it. Similarly, if we hit it again, unless the pod has started, the container has started in the backend, I'm not expecting this to be up and running. Similarly, if I refresh the health, all right, this is healthy, which is nice. This is up and running, which means if I go back, okay, it should refresh the status. Okay, let's try to log in here. So at least I have my pods up and running. Okay, there you go. Now, since the databases are already available, okay, The schema was pre-populated. And this is something that we have touched upon last time on how to populate the schema. Okay. But we will still see. Okay. So it's already been populated, so I'm not going to be doing it again. And you might also see the indexing statistics here because I've already run it. But if I just rerun it and let's see if I come across any issues or any errors. Okay, doesn't look like the indexing has already started. You can see the status has changed, right? Earlier it was showing the container was not running, which was not right. So it took some time in updating the status. It's up and running and fine. This guy hasn't restarted more than twice. So I believe this should be okay now, but nonetheless, let's go and check the logs. Even if there are problems, we should be okay. Right, so the marketing automation engine has started, which is nice. If the indexing is also finished, if we go back to the control panel and we should be checking the analytics, hopefully we will not see any errors there. Okay, this was all cool. Issues there. Let's go to experience analytics. Okay, as far as I don't see any errors here, I'm always going to be happy. Similarly for experience profile. All right, fantastic, no issues. So as you can see, we have a working XP scale on Azure Kubernetes. Everything is working fine, including the pods. Okay, including the pods, everything is fine. And we are running on SQL here. So that's about it for the demo. I'm going to be stop sharing my screen. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask.
Yeah, so if anyone has any question, you can add it to the chat window.
All right, doesn't look like we have a lot of questions. That's okay. A lot of familiar faces, so I understand of not having many questions. If there's nothing much, I think we are done with the demo for the XP scale, and we will meet again probably next time.
Yep, yeah. So
Cool.
thank you, Hardeep, for presenting and giving us the information regarding deploying Sitecore XP scaled on Azure Kubernetes. And thank you all for participating. We will meet soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you all.